Okay, so this problem is going to be a little bit different than the example I showed you. So we still need to make an equivalent problem because that's step number one. We need to try to get rid of those decimals. But in this problem, and in all your problems going forward, the decimal that you want to eliminate is going to be in your divisor. It's going to be in your second number that you're dividing, or the number that you're dividing by. So to make this decimal disappear, we're going to move this decimal over 1, and we're going to end up dividing by 9. Well, since we moved this decimal over 1, that means that we need to move this decimal over 1. We need to put it back down between the 7 and the 9. So our equivalent problem that we're actually going to divide out is going to be 27 9/10 divided by 9. And I know that I said that we want to eliminate the decimals totally, but that ends up bringing in some problems when we're doing partial quotient division. So as long as we have eliminated the decimal in our divisor, we're going to be okay. So I've got 27.9 divided by 9 is my equivalent problem. I move the decimal once here, I move the decimal once here. Step number 2 says make an estimate. So I am going to make an estimate, and my estimate will be 30 divided by 10 equals 3. Step number 3 says that I need to actually divide out my my problem, ignoring the decimals. So as you can see, I went ahead and I did the division. I ignored the decimals that were in my equivalent problem here. I just divided 279 divided by 9. When I did that, I got an answer of 31. Step number 4 says that we need to use the estimate to place a decimal in our answer. So since I have 31 and my estimate was 3, I know that that is going to put my decimal between the 3 and the 1. So my original problem of 2 79 hundredths divided by 9/10 equals 3 1/10. My final answer for this problem is 3 1/10. All right, so problem number 2, 85 4/10 divided by 14 hundredths. Step number 1, I have to form an equivalent problem. I want to eliminate the decimal in my divisor right here. So to do that, I move my decimal over 2 places. So I'm now dividing by 14. If I move my decimal twice here, I have to move my decimal twice here. Just like when we were doing fractions, and I would always tell you, whatever you do to the top, you do to the bottom. If you do it here, you have to do it here. If you do it here, you have to do it here. Otherwise, it's not equivalent. So move it over twice. That makes this 8,540. So for my estimate for this one, I will do 8,500 divided by 10 because we're just doing an estimate. It just needs to be close. This 0 cancels out this 0. I can do my basic fact of 85 divided by 1, which is 85, and then add my 0 back in. So my estimate is 850. Step number 3, I had to divide out the actual problem, ignoring the decimals. So I divided out my equivalent problem here of 8,540 divided by 14, and I got an answer of 610. So my estimate was 850. My answer, the digits I got were 610. So for this one, I don't need to place a decimal in this problem. So 85 4/10 divided by 14 hundredths is actually equal to 610. No decimal is needed to be placed in there because my estimate was 850 and my actual answer was 610. Okay, problem number 3, 4 68 hundredths divided by 1 3/10. So I need step number 3 says that I need to divide that problem out, ignoring the decimals. All right, I went ahead and did the hard stuff. I divided out 480 or 400. Equals 3.6. Okay, and for our last problem, I've got 44 divided by 5/10. Step number 1, create an equivalent problem. I need to get rid of this decimal here, so I'm going to slide this over 1, and now I'm dividing by 5, which means I need to take my decimal, that when you can't see your decimal, it's always here, so I need to slide it over 1. So this becomes 440 divided by 5. And if I want to make that an estimate, I'm going to go ahead and change that to 450 divided by 5, because I know that I can do my basic division fact of 45 divided by 5 equals 9. Add back in this 0. So then my third step would be to divide 440 divided by 5. So I divide 440 by 5 and I end up with an answer of 88. I look back at my estimate was 90. So that tells me that my decimal is already placed here at the end. I don't need to replace a decimal. So 44 divided by 0 and 5/10 is equal to 88. So make sure that you guys turn in this dividing decimals by decimals PDF into the correct spot in Canvas. That's the next thing that you're going to need to do in the module, and then continue on in the module. If you guys have any questions, make sure you guys send me a Canvas message and let me know, and we'll get you help with any of the questions that you have.